Today we're breaking down our monthly cost of living for August 2024 here in San Miguel de Allende, Mexico. This was a unique month for us because, as some of you know, Antonieta had surgery. We spent a week in Mexico City, which added some extra cost and expenses, but we'll break it all down for you.
And stick around until the end, where we'll share average rental costs for low, medium, and high-end homes here in San Miguel.
First up, groceries. We spent $538 on food and household supplies, which was about 12% of our total month, excluding housing. This included a box of Stash teas for $44, which should last us about 6 months, and a $118 Costco run.
We cook at home quite a bit, which helps keep our costs down. We don't really drink that much alcohol either. That's keeping down a lot of the expenses for us as well. And by the way, we currently run a B&B here in San Miguel de Allende, and this is the primary reason why we go to Costco. Otherwise, I don't think we would go to Costco all that often.
Yeah.
The nearest Costco store is about an hour away from here in the city of Querétaro. So it's a bit of a trek to get there, but we enjoy it. So sometimes we just go for the ride.
Yeah, it's an excuse to get out of town. Now, we're not going to include any of the business expenses here. This is strictly our personal living expenses, just to give you a good idea of what it might cost to live in San Miguel de Allende for an extended period of time. Now, for restaurants and takeout, this was a little higher than usual at $651, which is about 14% of our total. Since we were in Mexico City for a week, we ate out 3 times a day.
Our meals range from $3.27 at the Costco food court for maybe sharing a hot dog or a slice of pizza kind of a thing, to $45 at a Middle Eastern restaurant here in town. On average, we spend about $20 on meals out, or $10 each.
Yeah, that's how it broke down this month for us.
This month, yeah. This month we didn't go to any of the fancy rooftop restaurants or anything expensive, honestly.
Yeah, and there are some quite expensive places here. You could easily spend $100 each or more at a meal if you get a bottle of wine and some steak or something like that. That's a special occasion type of thing.
Yeah.
Next up is health insurance. We're currently making 2 bi-yearly payments, which breaks down to $556 for this month for both of us at Redbridge. Our plan includes US coverage and worldwide access. For reference, we are both 54 years old and we're relatively healthy. We could save a bit by excluding US coverage, but we're just not there yet.
I keep wanting to, but you're resisting.
Yeah, I'm afraid to let that go for some reason. I think eventually we will, but I need to convince myself.
Insurance is probably one of our biggest monthly costs, but it's an important peace of mind, especially after having surgery recently. We know that insurance is very important to us.
On utilities, we spent $261 this month. For water, we paid $21. Then we paid $80 for LP gas, which is a truck that delivers the gas and pumps up our tanks. Then we spent $150 for electricity, which might surprise you. I know many people think that electricity is really inexpensive in Mexico, and it can be. It really just depends on your house. And then we also pay $10 for trash. Now, trash is a free service here, but they come by super early in the morning, and there is a neighbor of ours that takes charge of collecting everybody's trash from the block, and he charges 200 pesos.
But it's worth it.
Oh yeah, totally. We don't have to walk out in our PJs to take the garbage out in the morning.
Yeah. So a lot of people assume that utilities are always very cheap in Mexico, but that depends on the home size and your usage. For us, we pay more for electricity than some locals do due to our home setup. We're curious, what do you pay for electricity where you live? We recently did a video about electricity costs in Mexico. In case you're interested, we'll leave the link below.
For phones and internet, we spent $160. That includes $66 for 2 cell phones, each with around 14 megabytes of data. And we also pay $31 for our Telmex landline with fiber optic internet. Next is $25 for a voice over IP line with our old San Francisco number, and $38 for a US cell phone. We recently had to get the US cell phone because we got a new Capital One credit card, which required 2-factor authentication. And the only way to get that second authentication is by sending us a text to a cell phone, and they don't allow foreign cell phone numbers. So we had to get a US line.
Now we've heard that you can get a Google number.
Yeah, there's a Google Voice service.
Yeah, and I think we need to look into that, because if that's less expensive than having an actual cell phone with a Verizon plan in the United States, then that might be worthwhile. If anybody knows if credit cards texting a Google phone works, then let us know.
If we could have that done on Google Voice, that would be awesome.
That would be great, yeah. We keep our old San Francisco phone number, which is a Vonage line, because first of all, I guess we're a little sentimental about this number because we've had it since we moved in together. So I don't know what year that was, but that was a long time ago. And it's also the number that my dad still knows. My dad's 88 years old, so to try to teach him a new number or give him a new number, it's not gonna work. So if he needs to call me, which he really rarely does, but in case of an emergency, if he needed to call, that's the number that he has, and we keep the number also for that reason.
But it's also the number he recognizes, because he won't pick up if he doesn't recognize the telephone numbers.
That's true. So if I call from another number, he won't pick up. But if I call from our San Francisco number, then he knows it's us. Mm-hmm. We're looking into getting a Google phone and transferring the number over. Has anyone done this successfully? Does it also work for texting? If so, we could get rid of the US cell phone. Please let us know in the comments.
Yeah, because then we would save the $38 that we're spending on that phone for nothing, really.
Yeah.
Next up is entertainment, personal care, and software. We spent $102 on entertainment this month, which covers things like movie apps and park entry fees, etc. This month, it was mostly our apps, and we did go to the botanical garden and pay an entry fee there.
True.
For personal care, we spent $90 on items like creams and makeup. And,
are you talking about me?
Of course. And software subscriptions totaled $83, covering things like Microsoft, Epidemic Sound for copyright-free music for our YouTube videos, Adobe, TravelSpan.
TravelSpan is a budgeting app that we use to track everything on it, and it works great for long-term living too. They're not a sponsor or affiliated in any way. We just like using the app for the simplicity of it all.
Yeah, it's very customizable. You can add categories as you wish. It has a set of default categories, but you can customize it any way you want.
It works well for us.
And it's only, I think it's like $10 or something a year, so it's worth it.
Yeah.
Next is exercise, fees, and charges. For exercise, we use the Peloton app, which costs us $26 a month. This month we also had a $95 yearly fee for one of our credit cards. All these little things add up, but it's good to see where every dollar goes.
So the subtotal for all of these regular monthly expenses came to $2,565, excluding housing.
For housing, we have a mortgage that we got years ago with a US bank for our property in San Miguel, but that loan is no longer being offered. We know that there are loans out there, so shop around if you're in the US and are considering buying a property outside of the country. For the purposes of this video, instead of sharing our mortgage costs, we thought it would be helpful to talk about the average rental costs in San Miguel de Allende.
Do you think that maybe in the future a video about US banks giving loans, mortgages out for homes in Mexico could be an interesting video? Maybe you all would like us to explore that?
Yeah, let us know in the comments if you want to see something like that.
For low-end rentals, they range about $500 to $750 per month. These are typically simpler, may not be furnished, are often located further from the historical center, but they do exist contrary to popular belief. You'll find them in local Facebook groups, which I've been looking a lot at that recently, and I have been finding places in that price range where the local rental agencies post what they have available.
Those low-end rentals are out there.
You just have to be willing to stay outside of the city center and walk into town or take an Uber or a taxi or the bus and live in one of the neighborhoods. So as long as you're willing to do that, you can find less expensive housing. But it seems like most people want to stay in the historical center, and that's very expensive.
I think it depends. If you're here for a few days, you're going to want to be close to the action. And so you're going to want to look for things closer to the center. But if
Yeah.
you're here for an extended period of time, you're going to find out quickly that you're not going to want to live right near the historical center.
In the medium range rentals, it's about $750 to $1,500 per month, which can get you a 2-bedroom furnished or a larger unfurnished home. There's a lot of those in that price range. And then in the high-end rentals, which is about $1,500 to up to $5,000 per month.
Or more even.
Yeah, even more for a luxury home within walking distance to the town square. Now, also just getting a small apartment, maybe a 1-bedroom, 2 bedrooms in the historical center can cost you $1,500 to $2,000.
Oh yeah,
Easy.
Easily. Or more.
Yeah. So if you're budgeting for an extended stay and have similar expenses to ours, expect to spend about $3,065 and $7,065, depending on your lifestyle and your rental choice.
Now, August was not a typical month for us since Antonieta's surgery added some extra costs. Our total medical expenses for this month were $1,244 on top of the surgery costs that the insurance covered, which came out to around $10,000, which we didn't have to pay.
We're still hoping to get some of that reimbursed, but we'll keep you updated in a separate video about how the insurance process went. We're still trying to get some letters from the doctor to submit to the insurance company in order to get some of those medical expenses reimbursed, hopefully this next month.
I hope so. Now, besides the medical expenses that we had extra on top of our normal monthly expenses, we also spent $334 on transportation to Mexico City, which included gas, tolls, parking, a flat tire repair, and $743 for accommodations during our 1-week stay at 2 separate hotels in Mexico City.
So our total medical trip related expenses came to $2,321.
Adding everything up, our total expenses for August were $4,886, excluding housing.
The additional $1,200 that we spent due to the surgery is a good reminder to always set aside a buffer for unexpected costs, especially when health issues come up, because you can't predict when that's going to happen or plan that out or know in advance. So it's always nice to have that little extra just in case.
You always have to have that emergency fund.
Yeah.
We understand that this month was just one data point, so in upcoming videos, we will share our monthly expenses for September, October, and beyond as we return to our normal routine.
Check out our healthcare playlist if you're curious about our surgery journey and how the insurance process went. We're still dealing with that a couple months later. Thanks for tuning in and see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.